What's up, guys? This is Heis, and today we are continuing our Big Boy adventure by getting a cab tour from Carl of the Big Boy 4005 at the Forney Transportation Museum. It's so funny to me that I've been in, of course, 491, which you've been in too, I would assume. If you've been in the... It's a little bit longer, but otherwise it feels about the same, and it's a significantly smaller locomotive. That's very. I have to. You have to sit right here. This is the spot.
Have you perfected Dickens' elbow, though?
Oh, the. He's got quite the technique, that man.
Unfortunately, the mechanism, as you can see, is not going anywhere. But it's fine.
That's still fun. You can still
a lot of mechanism.
You can sit here. You can sit. Do the important thing. You can sit here and make the choo-choo noises.
Indeed. We need a Hancock soundboard.
We do. It's got ADT, which is cool.
Yep.
I've never run. I've only run 6, but you've got overcharge, run or release, first service, lap, application, emergency.
I believe the only difference between this and 6ET is that
first service, yeah. Which makes a ton of sense. And I think I'm not 100% certain, but I want to say ADT has some amount of leak maintaining capability that 6ET does not. But position-wise and operationally, yeah. You have first service, and you put it in first service and leave it there for a little bit.
But that's what that is. That's how you cut your first service in and out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you could cut it in or out and then just not have it.
Yep. It just becomes another lap position.
Right.
Of course, the little thing that actually catches the notches is gone.
Yes, yeah, the little detent. But this guy's got his.
And it's still spring-loaded, so you can still bail off if you want to.
It's important to make the choo-choo noises when you sit here.
But same thing, you know, if it's spring-loaded, so that's quick application.
Yep.
So, slow application, etc.
God, and then power reverse, which is fun.
Yeah, and looking at that whole mechanism, even when it's not moving,
right? It's neat.
Like explaining it to people, like, here's the reach rod that goes to this, which then moves this, then this, then this, then this. So, yeah, it's a really neat little, and the 444 also has power reverse.
Does it?
Which I think, because this thing was a switcher, I think they had a more power reverse.
Sure.
So, but yeah. Throttle. This is for your stack hoods, I believe.
Oh, cool.
And so you can't actually. You had mentioned in your Donner Pass video that you might be able to like put one up independently. You can't do that from the cab.
Interesting.
You can't do that from up there.
Right. That's just a maintenance thing. Because I remember seeing that in Last of the Giants. That's interesting. Okay, so it's just one control.
Yep.
That's cool.
This is the sludge remover.
Right.
And right down there's a. It looks like a dust buster. That's where all the impurities come out of. And it works in conjunction with the steam separator in the turret.
Right.
So sometimes this thing has signal foam meter, which is really cool.
Right.
Which would have been
right there. Yeah.
So every so often, and of course the UP guys are really good about this these days.
Right.
But sometimes you might just have a big plume of steam just coming out of that thing.
Right.
So it's helping to reduce foaming.
Cool.
I don't mean foaming with your camera.
Yes, not the drooling, the physical boiling foaming, the sad kind.
Yep, but we've got cylinder cocks right here.
Right.
So there's actually a master valve.
Right, because it's a steam circuit that picks up the valves, right?
Yeah.
Or is it air?
Air.
It's air. Okay.
So you twist it and you hear a psh, as opposed to just like a mechanical.
Right.
You know. I believe this is rail washer, which has been removed on this locomotive, but that is one way to blow wet leaves off the track.
Right.
Giving you a hard time.
Right. And it can also clear the sand off after you've sanded so that you're not getting sand in literally everything behind you.
If some moron sands through a switch or a bridge or something like that.
Yes, precisely.
And this is the sander right here.
Yes.
This is reverse gear steam, which is really cool.
Right.
You may know about this. So, like with the Yellowstones.
They didn't have it, and then the Rio Grande had a little bit of an oopsie because of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So this will, I mean, you cut this in, it's gonna melt things, it's gonna not be good.
It's an emergency thing, because power reverse normally works on air, and if you run out of air, something's wrong with your reservoir, something's wrong with whatever, you've lost brakes, But then you also can't put the engine in reverse and counter your motion. Right. So that valve makes it so you can use boiler steam to do it, which, you know, is not great for the power reverse situation itself. Yeah. But it does mean that you will not, you know, ES&D on the hill.
ES&D. That's very true. This should be no, this should be yellow. It's like a triangle.
Right, it's the triangle valve. It's what our bathroom key's on at the museum shop.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
our
cool.
Bathroom key's on it's got the triangle valve handle. We had one, so it was like, oh, that's funny.
This is a defroster for our little storm windows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guys, it's good. Modern steam.
Indeed.
That's so cool.
Hey, excuse the rabbit wire. We're gonna get that out of there.
Oh, it's fine.
Because it's just 3 panes. And you notice the little lever on there, so that can pop.
Right. Yeah. When it's really, really, really crappy rainy, you're just looking through that instead of doing the whole peek out. And oh my word, it just goes on forever. I don't like this is not a usual view I'm used to on a locomotive. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It's a lot of locomotive.
Yes.
Throttle, obviously.
Yep.
We've got our air pumps. We've got a shut-off for our blow-off cock.
Oh.
Which is, I don't know why they put that, because reasons.
Oh.
I don't really know.
Interesting. It's got 2 sight glasses.
Yeah, and
because
these are not originals. These are 3D printed replicas.
Yeah. Wow. I've never noticed that before. Checking through. I mean, I've visited a bunch and seen it a bunch, but never noticed that those are 3D prints. Those came out great.
Yeah, so that was another thing Al Frank did. Rest in peace.
Cool.
I think we painted these blues just to show which components.
What's water and what's not. Yeah.
Dynamo. For some reason, they put the valve down here. I don't really know why. 844 and a lot of the other engines will have it up there. That makes a lot more sense.
It does, but fair enough.
This is a fun one. Operating valve for our pedal to pop our Firebox doors open.
Oh yeah.
So even though we're not...
So the engineer leans over and shuts this off surreptitiously, and then watches the fireman hit the door with the scoop, and then that's a time.
Best thing to do. Best way to make a friend. Which, of course we have a Stoker, so we're not manually shoveling most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. And Lord help you, if you had to fire one of these by hand, dude, no.
So there was actually a guy who, so with this Stoker, this is how we start to flow a coal.
Right.
It's a little 2-cylinder steam engine. So
it's in the tender, yeah.
Yep, so it actually makes its own little chuffing sounds.
When I made my video talking about how they put PTC on the big boy, and I was like, oh yeah, they put the PTC equipment in a locker on the tender, and everyone was like, what was the locker for? And I was like, I don't know. And then somebody was like, it's where the Stoker engine was, you dummy. And it's like, oh, you're right, it doesn't need that anymore.
Yeah. I don't think that the cabinet that they put it on the 4014 was for, because the Stoker engine on this thing's over here.
Okay. I thought it was...
And they put their PTC
on that
equipment.
side.
Now.
Okay, then I don't know what it's for.
I don't know either. I know that, so that's for the Stoker engine.
Right.
There's 2 more down here. One of them's for fire hoses.
Right.
So what they would do, if you look at old videos, and I'm sure this is true for the Grand and whoever.
Sure.
They would put their wooden cars right behind the engine. So that way if there's a fire, they can monitor and then they can stop, get the fire hose out and hose it off.
We carry fire hoses on our engines, mostly for our neighbors' sake, but yeah, definitely.
Yep. Let's see. So, but yeah, the Stoker, the screw just goes straight under the floor of the cab.
Right.
So this would have been an open grate here, so the fireman can physically look down and see the screw.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
You can see.
Right.
The screw would have been down in there. It's been removed.
Right.
But it just goes. It takes the coal right in under the floor of the cabin and up into that U-shaped thing there.
Right.
Called the firing table.
Yep.
And right above that, there's a whole bunch of steam jets that just shoot that coal where you want it to go.
Yes, that is. Holy crap! That's a lot of Firebox.
It's 22.5 feet long.
Holy crap. That is so much Firebox. That is, I mean, 491 is my touchstone and litmus test, a big engine that I've worked with a bunch. And its grate area is 5.5 by 9.5. So you could have more than 2 of her Firebox in here.
Right.
But this locomotive is 4 times as powerful. So, yeah.
And I tell you that because there was a guy who came out to see the 4014, I want to say on their first trip, so 2019. His name was Dillard Hill.
Okay.
He's the guy. He claims to be the only person to have ever hand-fired a big boy.
Oh, no.
And all he did was, he would come back here. He had him and a brakeman, brakeman. They would come back here. They would literally just dump the coal on top of those steam jets.
Sure.
That's the only way they could keep this thing. And they had a cracked boiler. So they could only run at 200 psi max pressure.
Oh my god.
Oh.
So
that's quite the story.
Yeah, that is brutal.
he talked him into running light. So thank God.
Get it back, and yeah, I mean,
Yep.
goodness, I mean, yeah, you've got the steam jets. I wonder, I don't know if I can get the camera.
The camera on the other side, yeah, they're just little holes.
Oh wow, that's all there.
That big.
No, I was expecting so much more out of that, but they're
pretty small.
they're just little holes. Which I mean, a steam leak is crazy powerful, so that makes sense. But this is a cool stoker, and I always thought, because I grew up, my granddad's Penzi guy, right? Mm-hmm. I'd always seen the elevator screw and everything that you have in those types of engines. Always assumed that all the stokers have it, but this one doesn't.
Nope.
It's just the one screw, and it just by head pressure of coal.
Just pulls right there.
Yeah, pulls it up and then the steam jets kick it around.
Yeah.
That's so freaking cool.
And 70, the fire in here, so the fire in here is like 2,000 degrees.
Right.
70% of that coal gets alight before it ever hits the grates.
Yes, yeah, because it's so small and the heat, it basically vaporizes. It's like a power plant boiler.
Yep. And we did actually get a number 4 coal scoop, so it is the right size. This one.
They equipped these things with a number 4 scoop?
Yeah.
What? That's what you fire a K-36 with. I was looking at that. I was like, they must not have the right scoop for that. That's all. Oh my god.
Because you think about, like me, if I was firing this thing, the one spot I always forget to hit is right
here. The corners. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't see it.
Right, exactly.
And really, these things, they love it in the back.
That is pretty consistent. Most steam engines, it seems.
Yeah.
Everyone I talk to, obviously there's weird cantankerous, weird locomotive specific. That one is weird for XYZ reason. Most engines seem to burn the best at the back, in the back, and they like a heel back there if you're working really hard.
So if we're just shoveling coal, we don't have to get it that far.
Right.
And the engine's going to be happy.
You're just getting your back corners with the scoop, and yeah.
Right. So we literally, if I was going to fire this thing, just get a nice, built up section of coal at the back and just fire the front.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can see we've got our operating valve, so this starts the flow of coal, and it controls, how much. And the idea, what it says in the handbook for the standard stoker is you want this going all the time.
Right. Just keep the engine at least idling. Yeah.
Because I suspect what happened when Mr. Hill was having to hand fire is, it had a stoker failure.
Right.
And I'm guessing the fireman probably just gave it a ton of coal and then shut off. Ton of coal and then shut off.
Right.
Which you're not supposed to do.
No. Because then you're gonna get moisture pull up and everything, and yeah, you gotta keep the thing cycling.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we also have a booster.
Right.
So what happens is if there's some kind of blockage.
Right.
We also have a stoker reverse back here.
Yes.
That's what this big lever is here.
Right.
So the coal, you can see the screw on the bottom there. This coal bunker is 32 short tons.
Christ.
And it basically
just some coal.
Just
some.
And it takes the coal right down there, and then there's a whole bunch of metal fingers in there.
Okay.
That break it up into about.
Right. It's got to be itty bitty little pieces.
Yep. So instead of a hammer, now the engine's doing
it for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Blower, pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
We have ash pan sprinklers. So of course we're never all. Oh, by the way, where are the grate shakers on this engine?
I know the answer, I think.
Where do you think they are?
Oh, it's the big circle.
Big on the outside.
Yeah, the big
valves.
hand valves on the outside.
So those are for the ash pans.
Okay, those are for the pan.
The grate shakers.
I don't know.
Never mind, I thought it was the big thing that they removed from...
Oh, they under the floor. Oh my word.
The cheese is under the sauce.
All this good. 5 here and 4 there.
This has got 9 sets of grates.
Yep.
They're... Oh, Lord. party.
So yeah.
Yeah,
You come in here, you open up your door, you wail on it. They have these little locks on them so they stay in place.
Right.
You wail on it, and then of course it's never on 9 of these.
Yeah.
And of course it's never always that easy. It's never just gonna dump straight into your ash pans. So there's actually 4 residual ash pans, 2 on each side.
Okay.
So you get in there, you pop your pins out, and then the doors flop down. You can get in there and wash it out manually.
Wow. So you different procedure for mechanical versus ops.
Yeah.
And then here's all your jet valves.
Yep. But that's what these ash pan sprinklers are for, so they can squirt a little water in.
Right.
And then we have our
Feedwater. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Is an Alesco TP502 exhaust steam injector.
Yeah.
Obviously, most of these big engines are going to have some flavor of feed water heater.
Yeah.
This just has an exhaust steam injector, and I believe they did that for reliability reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, this is a much simpler system than a feed water heater.
Right.
You don't have a hot water pump or anything.
Right.
Like that.
It's just heating it with the exhaust.
Right.
Which the whole purpose of that is thermodynamics.
Yeah.
When you're putting hotter water into the boiler, you're cooling the boiler less. Because when you have steam, your steam pressure, which I guess you got to gauge there, and then presume it. Yeah.
Gauge right
Another
there.
one there.
Yep.
When you have steam at a certain pressure, which we don't have any right now, single tier, thank God. When you have steam at a certain pressure, it's at a certain temperature when it is inside the boiler. It's contained. It's literally a table. If you cool it down, the pressure comes down.
Yep.
So anything that cools the boiler is fighting you.
Yeah.
And why on God's green earth does it have a hydrostatic? Or is it for the air compressors?
Stoker.
Oh. Interesting.
Yep, that's the only thing on this locomotive
It's hydrostatically lubricated.
Because everything else you have your
Mechanicals. Yeah.
Yep.
So the air compressors have their own mechanicals then too. That's the way to do it. That's so much nicer than hydrostatic. But I guess, yeah, for the Stoker, they probably could have made a little mechanical for it, but shrug. Cool.
Yeah. So they, we've got our valve oil, we've got our engine oil, and we've got our air cylinder oil.
Yeah.
And then they've got stuff for the lubricator. But yeah, I mean, of course, the other thing with feed water heaters is, it's just a valve.
Right.
A lot more water, we turn the valve. So this is a little less user-friendly.
Right.
But from a mechanical, shop side of things,
right.
It's so nice.
Yes.
I mean, we literally... This is kind of bougie because it is an overflow control, but we can see we have these little numbers here.
Yeah, you can fine it down with that too. Yeah.
So instead of walking the starting handle back like we would, we literally just give it less water.
Right.
But if you look right by the rear engine,
okay,
there you can just barely see the overflow.
The overflow's way up there. Yeah.
Yep. And you think about, for something like this, I mean, obviously lifting injectors are non-lifting injectors are gonna be pretty much required.
Yes.
I mean, the delivery line on this is probably the same length as the dry pipe.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
491.
It's huge. It's I mean, yeah. If you had a lifting injector, I mean, it would be trying to break all the time. So non-lifters make sense.
So
didn't some of these have an indicator that was like an electronic indicator on it? It would have been there.
Yep. We're trying to track one of those down. It's probably going to be next to impossible. But all the other big boys that survive actually have their spill lights. So it was literally just a big light that just says spill whenever you had your
that's fun.
Overflow.
Well, you guys have been
water.
creative and resourceful in other ways. The 3D printed water glasses, I bet you could come up with something,
Assuming we have our injector on full blast.
Right.
We can, that's a 25,000 gallon water tank, and we can eat through that in a couple hours.
Right. Goodness.
Assuming we have it on full blast, which we wouldn't really want to do.
Right. You'd be, I mean, you're even with an exhaust steam setup, you're cooling the boiler so much by doing that, even with exhaust steam.
Yeah. So that's another thing with these is they're maybe not going to be quite as good at their job as a feed water heater.
Sure.
Because that's, like we were saying, the main reason why you would have these is because you don't want to affect your pressure quite as much.
Right.
So we can choose depending on whether we want to cool our boiler down or not.
Right. Yeah. If you need a big slug of water, here you go.
So this is our live steam injector.
Right.
You'll really only use this when you're stopped You can double gun and use both injectors at the same time.
Right.
That's something Steve Lee did a fair amount, and maybe Ed does it as well. I don't really know.
It's not ideal, but if you have to have the water, sometimes you got to do that.
So we've got our overflow right here, and then so this is our shut-off position. We've got prime. You can see the little teeth.
Yeah.
So prime is here, and then this is fully open, and then all the way back. It's not going to move too much.
Right.
But all the way back would be minimum.
It finds it down. Yeah.
Minimum insertion. I don't know.
Yeah. Injection. Something.
Minimum capacity. That's what it is.
Capacity.
Yeah.
Minimum insertion.
So that's 14,000 gallons an hour. This is, I believe this is a 4-inch nozzle, so this is around 12,500 gallons.
Oh my god.
So it's still, you can still get a lot of water going.
Yes.
Into that boiler.
It's just you'd want to use this because you wouldn't have any exhaust pressure while you're sitting.
Right.
That you wouldn't have the heat. So there's not much bonus to be gained by using anything else.
Yep. It allows us to control our pressure, our temperature while we're sitting still, so we're not popping the safety all the time.
Right.
So safeties, because there's
five of them. Yeah.
Yep.
They're 4-inch valves, aren't they?
Yes.
God, ridiculous. 5 4-inch valves.
Yep. And these, of course, are set up so that one pops at a slightly lower pressure than.
Yes.
So you can kind of hear, oh, we're about to pop. Better get on that injector.
Yeah.
So, or if it was a steam area, you just let it pop. Who cares?
Right.
So.
That firebox is out of control.
Let me know if you want to go in there.
I mean,
I don't know if you want to take the camera in there. But...
I will have you hand it to me.
Okay, you're going in?
Oh hell yeah! When else am I gonna get to go to a big boy's firebox?
That's true. That is true.
All right, we're gonna do proper procedure and remove the things from the pockets.
You're gonna be so dingy when you come out of there.
Oh, it's not that bad.
It's not gonna be too bad. I did. Never mind the piece of wood. I did clean it out a little. It's still filthy.
Yep. Well, it's the whole thing. All right. Ash, catch some serious business time.
There you go. I usually go into me first, but you're fine.
Well, I needed to give the camera another view of the good stuff.
Yeah, this is the content you can't control.
Welcome to Only Trains. I'm your host. Thank you.
Your microphone's dangling.
Oh yeah, it does that.
Completely straight in there.
Yes.
Almost. If I'm at the very, very center, my head just barely touches.
They always say that steaming is coffee, but I think this is a little too literal.
So here's our Stoker and the little steam jets. And it's amazing how much brick the thing has in it.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
And most of it's still there.
Yeah. I mean, this is gigantic. I mean, I'm gonna put the camera here, I guess. And for scale, I mean, I have to go. You have to see, like, you can't perceive how big it is in here without something for reference, so. Don't mind me. Draw me like one of your French Boilermakers. This is ridiculous, dude. Holy crap. Yeah, this is... Oh my god, they have done so much weld repair in here.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And even on the outer sheet as well.
Oh, this poor choo-choo.
Everywhere you look, there's steel weld.
Oh, it's so bad. But they cut out a whole... I mean, they replaced a huge chunk of the interior side sheet in here.
Yep.
Oh my god. And it had bolt-to-bolt cracking that they will... Oh my... This thing was tired.
But you'll notice on some of them they've got the little steel eyebrows on there.
Right, for the protection for from all the coal particulates.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Ed talking about that in one of his recent presentations at the train show.
Yep.
Oh my god. This is too cool.
So they are going to come and we're going to try and get the fire brick out of there, and it'll hopefully be used on the 4014. Don't quote me on that though. Ed wants to come down here and do that, but
That would be cool, man.
yeah, last time I saw him, he's like, when are you gonna let me get all that fire brick out of 4005's Firebox? I'm like, well, I'll tell Christoph and see what he wants to do.
I'll have to talk to Ed, because we were shocked and surprised at the museum that the company that made the brick for 491 back in the day still exists, and they still had her brick arrangement.
Yep.
They had all the cards. They had the cards for every Rio Grande engine, still.
Wow.
And so it was like, which engine is it? Oh, the weird modified one? Oh yeah, we got the brick card for that. We'll make the molds. We'll pour you some bricks.
The one with the Anderson front end?
The one with siphons.
Okay.
She was the only one with siphons.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't
Yeah, so that changes the brick arrangement because it doesn't have the 4 arch tubes. And so I would bet you that these are standard bricks, and I would bet you that they could make them. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to talk to Ed.
I admit I haven't looked into it, so.
If he wants historic brick, I mean, cool, but if he needs, I need to talk to him about that. That's cool.
I would like for them to get it out of there anyway, because what I want to do is put a light at the front of the firebox to show the real tube sheet.
Right, that would be cool. Because you really can't, see it. Here's this.
Cool. Little camera.
Yep. And I will try and snake my butt back out here.
And here we see the wild UP 4000.
Exits the firebox.
Ever feel what it's like to get birthed by a steel demon?
That's why you ran truck.
Yeah, these are always just a joy.
Oh, you're almost there, buddy. You almost made it.
Oh, fireboxes. Why did I voluntarily go in a firebox today? Because it's really cool, that's why.
Welcome to the world, Mark Heber.
Cool.
Gentlemen, he has been delivered.
Congrats, it's a YouTuber.
If you're curious, the only gauge in here that's original is that one.
Oh, cool.
That's it.
So
It's neat that I'm surprised it has an original gauge.
Yep. So this would have been a gauge for your exhaust steam injector.
Sure.
Stoker jet pressure, etc. And then steam heat.
Right.
And then over here, we would have had an identical boiler pressure gauge to that one.
Oh, it's missing its air gauges.
Yep.
Yeah.
Duplex.
The duplex gauges. See, they're cool.
And
Yeah.
then we would have had our back pressure gauge up there.
Right.
I want to find duplex air gauges, and I'm sure they'll pop up at some point.
Sure.
And just move this up and make that our back pressure gauge
Yeah.
of sorts.
It was so funny. It was last Polar we had on the last day. 91 just let us know how done she was. We had never seen it. We had a collective 60 years of steam experience in the cab, and she had a glass let go.
Really?
And none of us had ever seen that before.
Wow.
And it only had 40 days of service on it too.
Ooh.
They're supposed to last 92, so modern materials.
Yeah.
But that glass let go, and I mean, it sounded like bang, and then there was steam everywhere, and I was like, what? Ah. And Brett threw dust, Brett jumped off the gangway, they tried to figure it out. Brett shut it off. I think he threw Dusty off the gangway, and then found the shut-off valve, shut it off, and it was fine, and we realized, oh, it was a water glass, but you can't see anything in here. When one of those goes, I mean, it was cold, but it just becomes white in here, so.
So for those listening at home, that's why they did that.
Right.
If that glass breaks, like we said, the cab's going to be full of hot water and live steam. We don't want to stay in here when that happens.
Right.
So the glass breaks, we can dive out the back door and shut it off
Right.
there.
Yeah, through the holes.
Yep.
God, that's cool. Nifty.
So, yeah.
Well, dude, Carl, I mean, one, happy to help you out and get the front end open as we saw in the other video. But a tour of the cabin of the firebox, that's something for the nerds here, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Happy to make it happen. So, steam heat as well.
Yes. Did it, I mean,
Steam heat.
Did it ever run with coaches?
Wait,
No.
yes, they did.
I
Some
think
of
they
them
may have
did.
run whole troop trains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's good pictures of, I forget which one, it might have been 17, and it's in Utah. Jam has them.
That
Huh.
would make sense.
Cool, so they
Troop
equipped
trains
them
are
all.
the only ones that
That would have been
whole.
steam heat.
Yep.
Wow, so cool, man.
And they also have foot warmers. So
Hey,
they
man.
actually
Heat,
in here.
heated seats, baby.
Yep.
You gotta love it. Wow.
One thing I want to show you on the tender. You
Oh,
might
sure,
enjoy.
sure.
There you go.
There you are. Little 2-cylinder steam engine. Cool.
Terminal checks, etc.
Oh yeah.
So
It's got terminal checks, but it's hydrostatically lubricated.
yeah,
Huh.
I don't really get it either, but it's fine.
Okay. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Cool. And then it's, yeah, just, you just look forwards and it's just so much locomotive.